Have you noticed that every week on YouTube there's a new video out there telling you can't sign up with this distributor? Oh, you can't sign up with this distributor. They're going to steal all the rights to your music. Listen, there's a lot of fear going around right now, and I want to tell you that the reality is nowhere near as perilous as that. Now, before I say anything, there are definitely things that need to be looked at. But a lot of times there's a lot of misconceptions going on, and it's holding people back, and they're getting stuck for no reason. And I want to share with you how to move forward out of this funk that people are having about distributors. So instead of panicking, we can actually look at what are the step-by-step actions that I need to do to make sure I'm collecting all the rights for my music and collecting all the royalties and all that's taken care of, okay? So let's dive in step by step. The first thing that we need to really understand is where this fear is coming from and why you most likely have it so that you can overcome it. A lot of people are looking at distributors as a all-in-one solution to get all the money and royalties for their music. And because these distributors are offering these upsells, right? They're offering these, hey, if you want to sign up for our little program that we have here, we'll collect more of your royalties for you. This is usually where the problem occurs. In these type of services, there's usually terms that we would be giving away more rights or percentages than we otherwise would if we had a say-so in it. So it makes sense why people are concerned about the upsell programs that exist within TuneCore, Lander, DistroKid, and all these different distributors. It's understandable. However, whenever you just sign up with a distributor, roughly speaking, if you're just using it to distribute it to DSPs, digital streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, etc. If you're just using it for that, most of the time, you have really nothing to fear. And that's where I want people to kind of take a step back and go, wait a second, it's not as perilous as I've been told it is? No. Now, listen, if we want to have any cause for concern, we need to look at the relationship, usually not between us and TuneCore, or us and DistroKid, or us and CD Baby. We need to look at the relationship between those distributors and the streaming platforms themselves, and the agreements that are made between those two parties, right? So that's where if people are looking at issues that could arise in the business, that's the concern. However, my thing is you only focus and put mental energy towards things that you can control, okay? A lot of the time, there's not going to be much you or I can do if Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon decide to collude together and work these distributors so that they all, do something they want them to do. There's not a lot that's in our control there. We could take the music off the platform, right? And try to host it other places. And I see artists trying to do that and have been trying to do that for a few years when it comes to Spotify. There's the artists that are boycotting Spotify altogether. The only artists that are able to successfully boycott Spotify are ones that are identifying other revenue streams and really going hard on that. For example, I saw a metal band that was making $40,000 a year selling physical media, CDs, but they didn't hardly have a Spotify presence because they identified a demographic that would rather pay for the music. They probably didn't have Spotify anyway and just sold CDs to them, right? Through advertising. So you look at that and you go, okay, that makes sense of somebody. They didn't really boycott Spotify because they're still on Spotify. Their audience isn't as big, though, as their physical media audience. So it's not really boycotting, but you see what I'm saying? The artists that try to say, I'm boycotting Spotify and just not putting my media up on there, you are free in your rights to do that, 100%. I just do not think it's a wise marketing decision because you would rather have your material there and available for people to check it out then they go to look you up and they can't find you, they get frustrated and they lose interest altogether. Now you just lost a fan for essentially pride. And that's not a good thing. I've lost fans to pride before, and I can tell you, that's not a good route to go. Okay? So you have to make sure that you're not viewing distributors as this all-in-one solution thing. You're just using the distributors to get your music onto the digital streaming platforms. And because we can't really control what happens between those distributors and the streaming platforms, we can only really control what we sign up for. And as long as you don't sign up for the upsells, I think by and large you'll be fine. I've used TuneCore and DistroKid for approaching 10 years, actually over 10 years now. I have literally never had a problem with either platform. I have people that come to me and mention problems that they have, but the problems that they have, usually, with all due respect to them, they're trying to put like a parental advisory sticker on their artwork. You don't have to do that. But they're saying like, wow, that's so crazy. How come they don't want that? I'm like, why do you want that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Those are the type of issues when I see people running into problems on distributors and distributing platforms. That's usually what I hear from the people that I talk to. So if we're looking at it just from use the distributor to get it out on the streaming platforms, that's the first step. Now we have a multiple set of steps to accomplish. And this is what I'm talking about. When you view the distributor as the all-in-one solution to your problems, this is where you're going to run into issues because you're going to try to take their upsells and get screwed. Whereas you need to do sort of the long way, but it's the right way. Would you rather do it the short way and the wrong way? Or would you rather do it the long way and the right way? I think we'd rather do it the right way and the long way. So let me break down these step-by-step actions that you need to take to make sure that your music is all taken care of, it's protected, and you own all the royalties that you can. Okay. I'm going to assume going forward that you are an independent artist. You are not signed to a record label or any kind of company that is taking a percentage of your royalties. So just need to say that going forward. So if you do have those arrangements, factor them in as we're going through this. Step number one, essentially, is you need to get signed up with a PRO, a performance rights organization. Music royalties are divided up into fundamentally two different categories. So every song, they'll call this a work. Every work has two sides of royalties. It's got the mechanical side, that's the digital side of the royalties, and then you have the performance side of the royalties. You could think of it as performance, or you could also think of it as just composition. The actual song as a piece of art, as a written thing, and then there's the digitalized version of it that can be distributed around the internet and worldwide. That's how you can view how royalties are sort of viewed. And you need different organizations to collect different sides of these royalties. So a performance rights organization helps you collect the composition side, the performance side of your royalties. This is guaranteeing that you, the songwriter, the person who wrote the song, is getting paid for the songwriting royalties that are attributed to that song. The other side of it, this is your masters side. You know, when you hear people talk about losing the rights to their masters, they're losing the rights to the digitalized version of their song that can be distributed around the world. And the reason that's a big deal is because these royalties pay out 6-to-1 performance royalties. It's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. So that means you could, if you made $100 from a song on your performance royalties, that means you've actually made $600 over here in your master royalties. That's sort of the way to view the math. That's how much more powerful the masters are than the composition side. So that's why people talk about getting the rights to their masters back as a big thing. And that's why people like Taylor Swift will re-record an album, because the issue was not that she didn't own the song as a song. The issue was she didn't own the digitalized version of it. So when she created a new version where there's slight differentiations in the mix and in her performance, now it's considered a whole new digital thing. It's not the same digital thing as the other one because there's a new mix and there's a new performance on it. It's a whole new master. And that's why artists will do that, is because they'll get the rights to all of those songs now because they own these masters. And so as long as they push this from here on out, every bit of royalties they collect from the master side on these songs, they'll get all the royalties from, as opposed to the ones up here that they don't own from because a label owns it or something like that. So hopefully you're understanding sort of the difference between royalties. Now, so what's the other companies you need to get signed up with? Now, I should clarify, a PRO company, there's a few that exist. There's BMI, there's ASCAP, there's CSAC. Go do some research if you're international out of the US, because there's going to be different performing rights organizations. I think in the UK, it's PRS. There's tons of different ones, but I want you to go look into them for yourselves because this is going to be a valuable thing for you to do step by step here. Now, the next level to this is sign up. My recommendation is the MLC. The MLC was originally created in 2018 with the Music Modernization Act that was passed to collect the mechanical royalties for artists and musicians in the United States. But I heard recently, someone commented that they actually collect nationally, internationally. So if you're a international artist, you could potentially sign up for the MLC as well. Double check me on that, but I know for sure that it was created for the purpose of collecting the mechanical royalties for the US, okay? So sign up for the MLC so you can get your mechanical royalties. And think of it like this. I have a whole video that I've done a long time ago that talks about this a little bit more in depth. Actually, the best way of doing it, I have a short that I made that's nice and compressed, showing you all the distribution of these royalties. I'll make sure to put a link to it or something in the video. But what you need to figure out is, okay, what's the PRO company that I'm going to sign up for? ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, PRS, whatever. I'm going to sign up for the MLC to get my mechanical royalties collected. Now you're going to go over to SoundExchange. This is one that a lot of people forget, so I want to bring it up. SoundExchange is going to help you collect your internet radio or satellite radio royalties. If you can get on some internet radio with your music, or if you can get onto satellite radio pays out really well. So if you can get on a Sirius XM station, those royalties, when collected through SoundExchange, are a lot more valuable than, let's say, your typical performance royalties. So make sure to do that. And then lastly, this is one that I don't personally utilize, but I know other artists do and have found value in it. They do take a percentage fee. I think it's like 15% of the collected royalties. But SongTrust. SongTrust is a way that you can collect, I believe, more of your publishing rights, your performance side, internationally, as opposed to just solely domestically. So those are the kind of the four main companies or four types of companies you need to get signed up with. Okay, this is like step number one, okay, is getting signed up for all of these companies. For example, I'll use ASCAP. I've used BMI as well, but we'll just say ASCAP, for example. You're signed up for the MLC, you're signed up for SoundExchange, and then the rest of your royalties are collected by SongTrust. The next step is you need to register your works, which just means register your songs or your music. Every single song is considered a work. And this is the most monotonous part. This is why I said this is kind of the long way to do this. But once you do this the way I'm going to describe to you right now, it's a lot easier. So before you get like really going to registering all your works with ASCAP and then registering all your works with the MLC, registering all your works with SoundExchange and doing that whole thing, what I'd recommend you do is create what I call a data hub. It's just a spreadsheet. But what you're going to do is it's going to have all of your songs and your registered works with all the appropriate information that you'll need whenever signing up with a new company like SoundExchange or whoever, to give them the information that accurately pinpoints your song. Because as we know, many songs have the same names. And so you may ask yourself, like, how do they know to pay out the royalties to the right songs? Well, because there's a unique code attached to each and every song that's put out there on the internet. So you can look at those codes and identify the songs kind of like barcodes. So what you want to do is, first and foremost, I think the easiest way to do this is put the song out through your distributor. So for example, TuneCore or CD Baby. Go put the song out through your distributor. Okay, now the song is out and it's going to have attached to it a UPC code and a ISRC code. You'll see that very clear as day when you're looking at your song inside of your distributor dashboard. You'll see those numbers, you'll see those codes. What I would do in the Excel spreadsheet, it's like you have the artist, you have the album, you have the song, you have the UPC, the ISRC, and you just kind of put them in each little column. I believe that's what it is on Excel, right? You put them in each column. So now this one song has got all that data put into it. And here's something that's kind of useful to know. A unique product code, or a universal product code, I think is what UPC stands for. Your album will have one UPC, but each song will have an ISRC code that is different. Okay? That's one way to help kind of streamline the process, because you might be expending mental energy thinking about, okay, now what's the UPC code for this? What's the UPC code for this? If they're all on the same album, I believe they all have the same UPC code. It's each individual song that has an ISRC code. So when you're putting that data in this little spreadsheet, be sure to take that into consideration to help kind of streamline this. It's the good copy and paste that we actually want to take advantage of, right? And don't lie. Don't act like you don't copy and paste. We all copy and paste. Anyway, the last little bit of this is to collect the little final pieces of data, the little final codes. So there's some additional codes. For example, let's say you've uploaded your song through your distributor, you've got the UPC and the ISRC, you go over now to your PRO company, you register that work, you can actually put in the ISRC code or the UPC code. Or another thing that might be valuable is you go into your mechanical licensing collective account and you register the works there, because you can put those same codes in there. And once you upload it on the MLC, it will give you what's called an ISWC. Again, don't ask me what that abbreviation stands for. Okay, I just know that the code exists and I have the code, right? So the ISWC code will come out of your MLC registering, right? So you register the work on the MLC. So now your song is being collected by the MLC. It will create an ISWC code, I believe, and then you can take that information, go to your PRO company, and upload all that information there as well. The PRO companies are usually very fast to identify your work, pinpoint it, and go, yeah, I know which one that is. So I've always found ASCAP to be super, super fast. The MLC one, the SoundExchange, those to me I've seen take a little bit. So have some patience with it. It's not always instantaneous. Sometimes it takes a few days, a few weeks, and I've seen in some cases it's taken a month or longer. This was back in the day when things were very unorganized within my music business, like 2015 or so. But sometimes it takes them a while to finalize everything up, but just know that the ball is in motion. You're doing the right things because you've put the right data all into these different accounts. So all of your songs are registered with all of these services. And by doing that, you will be collecting pretty much all of your royalties and you own them, and you won't really have to worry about much. The stuff that you want to worry about, in my experience, what we're dealing with distributors and stuff, it's not as big of a deal right now or in the context that it's being presented as, right? So just kind of know that you don't have to be super nervous about which distributor you pick. In my opinion, if you stick with the big three, you'll be fine. What's the big three? TuneCore, DistroKid, CD Baby. Those are the three that have been around the longest, in my opinion. I think there's one that's been around maybe equally as long. There's some that have different advantages that they advertise. For example, people talk about Amaze. I personally don't use Amaze because they don't send to all the available stores that are actually out there, and you don't get all the metrics that you could otherwise get from these other platforms. That's why I don't do it, but some people may not really care so much about that, right? They're like, as long as the royalties are coming, I don't care. But I think it's valuable to be able to see that kind of data and have that extra exposure, because you never really know. I've had songs blow up on platforms that I was like, what? Who is listening to this? But it blew up on one of them. But if it wouldn't have blown up if I didn't have it there. You know what I'm saying? So I like to use the big three because they'll get your music pretty much everywhere you want it to be. Go out there, register with the appropriate performance rights organizations, Mechanical Licensing Collective, SoundExchange, SongTrust, these type of things. Go sign up with them and register all of your songs in there. Now, if you're a young artist where you only have a couple songs out there on Spotify, this is not going to take very long for you at all. Now, as someone who had lots of albums, or at least lots of songs, a couple albums, lots of songs out there and doing it all at once, it was very monotonous. So it took me roughly 90 minutes to 2 hours. So just kind of, if you have to parse that work out, do 30 minutes here, take a break, go do other stuff, come back to it another day or later in the day, do 30 minutes, parse it up. There's something called the Pomodoro method, I believe is what it's called, where you do 25 on, 5 off, 25 on, 5 off, as far as work, and then rest, work, and rest. Very effective. Whatever you got to do, but just get it done. Because then once it's done, every time you have a new song come out, you just put in the information and you're all good. So hopefully now you feel a little bit more confident that, oh, if I just follow this step by step, literally, some people, I'm not going to say names, Cato, made courses that charged you to teach what I just told you. So just watch this video again if you need to. Just follow it step by step. You'll have all your royalties taken care of, and you won't have to worry about all the hoopla that's going on right now about distributors, and you can move on and be focused on the things that actually matter. like getting more fans into your world, right? Getting more fans to be aware of you and to join your email list and to hear who you are and kind of relate to you so that they'll want to support you. Those are the things I would start worrying about, right? As opposed to my distributor. Because like I said, guess what happens if we don't like how things are going with distributors? We can just pull the music off. If we have to pull the ripcord and some catastrophic thing is happening, yeah, we can always just pull the ripcord. So that's why I wouldn't worry too much about it, okay? So I hope this video has given you a ton of value, put you at ease, and kind of assured you that you can do this and it will not be as bad as all these people are making it out to be. So if you got some value from it, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. Also, little note, we have a free group that we've created. Yes, it's totally free that you can join. I'll put the link to that in the description. It's just a private community where we're going to be, sharing insights, talking about things that we need to solve and all this kind of stuff. It's just a little community that I wanted to create for everyone out there who's interested in kind of improving their direct marketing as a musician. So also check that out. And finally, if you're looking to get some one-on-one help inside of your music business, hit the link that's in the description to apply for a one-on-one coaching call. It's totally free. It's to find out if it's a good fit, if we can work together. But if that's something that you're interested in, click the link in the description, and I will see you guys on another video inside of Musicians Ignite. Take care.